As with last week, I don't really particularly care much to cover weekly updates anymore. Most of the time, it's just playlist updates and nothing really substantial, but this week, as with last, is a bit more interesting. From a few things on offer to implications and groundwork that it sets up for the near future of Warzone and Vanguard, we've got a few things that you definitely want to be aware of. Today, we're running down what all changed across the world of Call of Duty and everything that you should be aware of, and that looks to be happening as a result of this update in the next 7 days or so. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to what could be a new Easter egg in Rebirth Island? Are you happy with some of these changes made already, or those still upcoming? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, do be sure that the subscribe button is up to date with all things Warzone, Vanguard, and even potentially Modern Warfare 2 content here in the near future. The future for that is relatively uncertain, but with anything COD related, we'll keep you up to date with everything you need to know. And finally, if you'd ever like to support the channel a little further, using creator code Espresso in the in-game shop of either Warzone, Vanguard, Cold War, or Modern Warfare is an entirely optional yet great way to do so. Do not ever feel pressured to do so, but if you ever do, tweet me a picture. I'd love to shout out some of your generous support in upcoming videos. That said, let's jump into it. So as for this update itself, this isn't actually something that requires any title update or download, though that is something we will talk about here later on in the video. This is just simply going to be restarting your game and application, a sort of refresh, hotfix as you will. So that's something that is pretty nice here to start off. On the Warzone side of things here with the front-facing stuff, we see primarily our playlist update as we do every single week. We end up having this week on offer Rebirth Payload. That continues on. Rebirth Blood Money Quads was introduced, which is basically your blood money plunder, but on Rebirth Island, which is pretty cool. Definitely excited to jump in. You can do some contracts, farm some things here for XP, for your weapon levels, or whatever the case, you can do it here at that. You also have Battle Royale for Caldera, which is your standard solos, duos, trios, and quads, and then Rebirth Resurgence, solos, duos, trios, and quads continues on again. Personally, I'm going to be jumping into quite a few of these. We're already zooming through this final challenge here, which is to collect $40 trillion in cash for blood money, and that is what will eventually give us a ton of XP, sure, but also will unlock those golden vaults here that we've seen since the introduction in Rebirth with a mid-season update. I'm honestly very curious what this will entail, whether or not it opens up just like a new playable space with some high-level loot or something like that, like we saw with the key cards on launch day, or if it's going to be actually something that starts an actual Easter egg. One thing that I'm a bit disappointed to see up front, but it's of course not the whole story, is that there have been players who've been able to glitch into these vaults, just like they could in the initial bunkers back in Verdansk during Modern Warfare's main year of support, where you can see the inactive bunker contents, but with the vaults, it doesn't look like there's anything too out of the ordinary or anything like that. No blueprint on the desks or anything like that, but until it's active and the contents inside are alive, there's really no way of telling what's in it. But I'm going in level-headed with my expectations not too high so that I'm not disappointed if nothing happens, but as much as I want it, it does seem kind of odd that an Easter egg would be activated after a community event. But who knows? I mean, I think what I'm more so expecting here out of these vaults is the more so continuation of the storyline, who that foe is that was mentioned before, that familiar returning face, because we know that we're working through something with Perseus, as denoted by the icons here with all of it, but we don't really know who that main bad guy is. Personally, sorry to go off on a little tangent here with this, I'm just very interested in the lore with this kind of stuff. I think the logical guess would be Steiner from the Black Ops campaign, also who's referenced in Black Ops Cold War, but it could make sense. I mean, Steiner was already known to be working with a Nova 6 compound in World War II for the Germans. The only thing that would be kind of odd story crossover wise is that Perseus is predominantly Soviet based, so it would be odd to see Steiner as a main player in that, unless it takes place after World War II, in which Steiner did end up bargaining his life for information with the Soviets, but we'll see how that all shakes up. Though there is a chance we could be entirely off base because either typo or interesting intentional redirect. The Rebirth infill sequence actually since the mid-season update is set in 2022, so kind of present day, not World War II, which is interesting, but we'll see. That'll be live soon. Keep an eye out for that. It may actually be live within the next day or so, which is interesting. But the big thing about this update and what it brings forth now with these final challenges is that the event ending is right on the horizon. It's currently slated for April 13th at 9 p.m., which is incredibly odd, and we'll come back to that in a second. Normally, we'll see seasonal events always end in the morning in Pacific time, in the afternoon on the East Coast, so overnight's a little bit odd, but the limited time events are ending. The changes in Rebirth itself are not. So that means that your community challenges and progress will likely be done by this point, and then those bonus rewards for participation are going to be going away as of next week. So if you haven't completed the 4 challenges to get the Toxic Heavy DP blueprint, you may want to get on that. I know that I still need to do some work here for it, so I'm definitely going to, but those changes in Rebirth itself as the map, don't sweat it, those aren't going away. The communications towers, the ships, Stronghold, those things aren't going anywhere. The key cards, I would imagine, stick around here, but that's kind of a question mark, admittedly. Those went away from Nakatomi Runway Plaza and the vault a little after the 80s Action Heroes event ended last year within Verdansk, and also those golden vaults that will be staying around as well. Now, as we mentioned, the timing for this event is just incredibly odd. We normally end up seeing seasonal events change over in the afternoon or morning, depending on where you're at in the world. And it's something that doesn't necessarily require a title update most of the time. We just kind of see things go offline, and then the next seasonal update will flush that out, whether it be mid-season or the actual seasonal changeover. So initially speaking, that's what I expected here next week with the end of the Rebirth Reinforced event, but then again, when you take a look at that timing where it's kind of in conjunction with when we'd normally see a title update go out overnight to alleviate any server stress or anything like that of midday, it's odd. Plus, then you add in the fact that if you guys remember the account PlayStation Game Size, who logs updates and database content for the PlayStation platforms, they actually tweeted that the next Warzone update, update 1.56, was added to the PlayStation database sometime last night. That next title update is already logged for the game. And that is where it gets a bit strange. We're just under 3 weeks away from Season 3, but that's still, historically speaking, further out than we normally get updates logged for them to go for first-party approval. That'll usually happen about a week, max of 2 sometimes, so 3 is a little weird. So it seems like there's actually a heavy possibility that this could end up launching in conjunction with the removal of the Rebirth event overnight as of next week. We could be seeing a title update to take this offline. Now, for what reason, we don't quite know. Maybe it's for another Easter egg with those golden vaults. I actually don't expect that one, but just kind of throwing out every option here that could be on the table. Maybe it's actually something for a pre-log of Season 3 and it's just early and ahead of schedule. Maybe it's something that sets up the framework for an end-of-season event. Now, that might be a little bit ambitious of thinking, but I mean, maybe it is. It's a bit early, but perhaps something pertaining to Modern Warfare 2 happens in Warzone, and we have a Season 2 to 3 changeover where there's an event of some kind that needs that framework set up. Lots of what-ifs, but bear in mind, nothing is known yet. It's all speculation, but it's incredibly odd that we see this sort of timing all come together at one singular point and not how events usually end up. So that's a bit of an oddity that we now see with this weekly update set in place as of today. Now, also today and going for the next couple of days, there's double XP for your battle pass and overall double XP in blood money as well if you guys jump into that. Raven also confirmed they are investigating the buy station bug that will reset wherever you scroll to. That's a really good thing to hear, hoping that change comes in a little quicker. And then finally, Vanguard free access is still going on right now, which then leads me into the discussion here for Vanguard. Of course, weekly playlist updates, Arms Race, Ship House 24/7, Large Zone Blitz, Medium Map Assault, Champion Hill duos, but the one thing that's definitely nice here in the Vanguard side of things is that Sledgehammer put out their patch notes in which it says that their challenges for headshots and long shots are now predominantly 50 necessary rather than 100, which is great for those that haven't completed it just yet. That's something that is kind of a bummer for those that maybe already have completed Gold or Atomic. Honestly, not the end of the world, though. I will say I have heard that it's not unlocking at 50 for a lot of people. It's tracking, but not unlocking, so kind of a bummer, but that's something that'll be fixed out and ironed out in a relatively short amount of time, I would imagine. They also made note of the Snakebite camo being investigated as to why it's not unlocked for those who earned it as of Major 1, which was a big question that I ended up actually getting. It's like, why should I go and actually care about the viewership reward, which is a blueprint for the STG out of Major 2, if the Major 1 reward was still locked? That's a very valid point. Hopefully it is something that is unlocked for players here soon, but totally get that concern. Anyways, though, that is the update here for Vanguard as well as Warzone. Warzone being the bigger of the two, I think, here. And again, a lot of this weekly stuff still being relatively smaller, but the implications for what this has for the upcoming 7 days is absolutely interesting. So that said, that's going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think is going to come of this ending of the Rebirth Reinforced event? Do you think it's going to lead us into some sort of title update that sets up an event of some kind? Do you think we'll get a new Easter egg? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, do be sure that subscribe button is there with all things Warzone, Vanguard, and anything COD related. I'd love to have you in the community. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.